With the world very much still focused right now on Barbie and Oppenheimer, it's refreshing to hear a lot of people talking about another film that's just been released so passionately. Talk to Me is really being hyped up a lot by horror fans, and it's rather refreshing to see such a dark mainstream horror movie that has real intelligence and thought behind it. For those who don't know, this is the feature debut of Danny and Michael Philippou, best known for their YouTube channel Raka Raka. Now, considering they have 6.75 million subscribers, I appear to be one of very few people who had never seen anything from them. So before the film, my girlfriend showed me one of their videos from almost a decade ago called Harry Potter vs. Star Wars. And you know what? For a bunch of teenagers messing about in their house, the quality of filmmaking on display here was pretty fantastic. And so I was rather excited to see what they would accomplish 10 years later in their first feature film. It's clear that they've really honed their craft in their videos. Talk to Me's directing has a real intelligence behind it. The shots are set up so naturally, and they've got complete command of complex and creative cinematography. The film's opening sequence alone is a great example of the Philippous juggling a take that probably goes on for close to 5 minutes, with tons of extras and a camera that has to go through multiple rooms. The film's editing too is fantastic, and I really wish more films had the restraint this one has. It's perfectly paced, and it's a large part as to why the film is so engaging. I'm sure this is no small part down to their early start on YouTube. They're not going to have shot 15 million angles for each scene. They're used to a style of stripped down filmmaking, and so there's no temptation to just keep cutting to every different angle every second. My only issue with the film's visuals would be with its color grading. While a washed out look was definitely the right call for such a bleak film, the precise configuration is very much the same as other mainstream horror movies from the past decade, and while the cinematography otherwise stands out, this aspect of it holds the film's presentation back from being as unique as it should be. It's not simply the directing, however, which is so strong. The film's script is largely pretty excellent. Danny Philippou and co-writer Bill Hinsman have written some incredibly realistic and well-rounded teenagers. They talk like real people, have real problems, are incredibly well defined, and use their mobile phones in a way that teenagers actually do. Though, as has been pointed out, who's still using Snapchat in 2023? There's some nice social commentary in here too, about how when people who are clearly having issues with mental health are having episodes in public, there really is a type of person whose first thought is just to get their phones out and put it online. Videos like this are the kind of thing that are just thrown onto your Twitter timeline or your Reddit feed where you really don't want it. And I think this was a really well done theme of the film, which is tackled in a very natural way. This naturalism extends to the performances. When I saw the trailer for the film, the last thing I would have expected would be how good the performances are, and I really hope we look back on this film in 5 years' time and see a bunch of actors whose careers have now taken off. Sophie Wilde is incredibly empathetic and engaging as Mia, while Alexandra Jensen shines as Jade. These characters are distinct and their relationship is realistic. With a cast of largely young actors, it's pretty amazing that all their performances feel so natural. Clearly, the Philippous are not only good with their actors, but casting directors Nikki Barrett and Kelly Graham did a great job in finding these actors who just fit so well into their roles. This realism is what really elevates the film's horror. The script, acting, and directing being so down to earth means that once the film really starts exploring the darkness within, it hits very hard. I was drawn to the screen for much of this film, and I could tell the audience I was seeing it with were as well. This is probably one of the scariest films to come out since The Babadook, and I can just see this blowing up as an infamous teen horror. The horror, however, did start to lose me in the second half. With all the praise I'm giving this film, there are a fair amount of sequences that just aren't very imaginative, and it's a real shame because the setup for this film is so perfect, it feels like if they had had a few alternative ideas for the third act horror sequences, this film could have been truly terrifying. This is at its worst for the film's climax, which unfortunately I kind of think jumped the shark, and it's always disappointing when a film with such a strong first half doesn't live up to it in its second. That being said, this film is still deserving of the hype. If you're a fan of horror, this is one to watch, and I can definitely see this film sticking around in the cultural zeitgeist for a while. Danny and Michael Philippou are clearly top talents to watch, and though this film may have its share of problems, I'm really excited to see what the two of them make next. So I'm giving Talk to Me a 7 out of 10. So what do you think? Is this the scariest film of the year? Or of the last 5 years even? As always, let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider tipping me on Ko-Fi. The link is in the description, and also in the description is the link to my podcast, the Extreme Cinema Podcast. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.